us and the collaboration that we're going to have going forward.
No better way to communicate to your audience.
How do we grow strategically now that we've gotten the right path forward? Hey everybody, hope you're doing awesome today. Todd Schroth here with Agents Who Win with the show with Todd Schroth. And I got my guest here, Bill Risser. Bill is with RateMyAgent, and got connected a while back through our good friend Anthony Malafront. And we're going to demo Anthony today as well. So Anthony doesn't know this, but he's like the second guest on the show in spirit. So Bill, you and I talked a while back about RateMyAgent and what it's doing, and Anthony's been using it for a while and getting some great, traction with it. So I wanted to just kind of have you on here today to talk about the program and just show us what it's doing and how agents can use it to gain reviews and other sources of business.
Sure. Yeah. Todd, thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it. It's, I always interview people, so it's fun being on this side, having a conversation.
This is like the get back. You interviewed me, now I get to interview you.
Exactly. All right. Fair enough. Look, I don't think we have to have any in-depth conversation anymore about how important it is for testimonials and third-party validation, right? I think 10 years ago, you had to explain to people this is going to be really important. This is really important. I think today we all know how important it is. And there are products and programs out there that work in this area. I spent 20 years with Fidelity National Financial, and I saw this product in 2019, right before the pandemic. I met the CEO and the co-founder at an Inman event right before we all got shut down, and really, really enjoyed the product because it was something that I hadn't seen before in the review space. It was the ability to take the actual testimonial from the consumer and connect it to the data from the transaction. We actually have the MLS data, and to make those things go together opens up this entire world of marketing. Instead of simply just putting out the review, now we can really talk about not just the review, but what type of property it was. Where was that property? Is it in your neighborhood? That sort of thing.
Right.
So now we have this connection with this verified review that makes a lot of sense. And so it was later that summer. By the way, I highly recommend, switching companies after 20 years in the middle of a pandemic. So in September of 2020, I signed up with RateMyAgent as Executive Vice President of Strategic Partnerships here in the U.S. My role is simply to form partnerships and show people what we do and why it's valuable. So,
I've seen the emails before, and when it first came out, I was kind of hesitant about it, like, RateMyAgent. So do I want to get a review from another agent on the other side of the transaction? What if it wasn't good? What if it was, if it was great, obviously, like, we're always going to ask for the review, but never thought about reviewing agent to agent. And when you think about it, I think it's actually a pretty cool idea, because when you are going to listings or working with buyers, see when you're working, as they say, reputation matters, and see what other agents are saying about working with my team. And that's the marketing push that you want to use with it. Yeah. And reviews are, obviously the name of the game.
Yeah, that we get asked that a lot about, can we put that into the product, because we focus on buyers and sellers, but the name just kind of yells out, oh no, we can review the other agent.
Yes.
And it's something we're going to kind of consider. I think, Bob Hale with the Houston Association of Realtors, I don't know if he went exactly down this path, but there was a time, I think, where they were trying to do something similar. But as you can imagine, right, you have a wide range of skill sets in the real estate space. I'm not telling any secrets there. And so I think there's some pushback, when you do that sort of thing. You also have a code of ethics, right? So that's really important with NAR. So yes, I don't know if that'll ever happen. Full on, but we've been asked about it multiple times.
Yeah. Well, I've seen some products like that. I just think, and even going on Google, when we're trying to up our Google reviews, some of the mastermind groups I'm in, we'll go send the links to our agents that we're friends with across the country and talk about the transactions we've done or referrals we've done. I like Zillow for reviews just for the purpose of it is a verified review. It has to be tied to an address. Before you guys had come out. And Google, hey, Bill, do you mind throwing me a review real quick? I know we just met in the grocery store, but hey, I met Todd in the line at the grocery store. This is a great, he's a great agent. I didn't do anything with him, but except, bought his coffee, whatever it is. But that's the only problem with Google is you can obviously load up with reviews, but it can be your friends, family, and coworkers doing that.
Yeah, that's that the review sites that don't require the review to be verified against the actual property or the data from the transaction. I think, there's obviously gaming in the review world is a thing.
Yeah.
And so it's something that Google tries to fight. It's something Zillow is really aggressive about watching on their side as well. It's something we take care of, we watch for as well. We've got to make sure that the information that we're putting out, especially when the public's coming to our site to see what's up with this agent, we want to make sure it's as accurate as possible. Now, can you stop all of it? We know the answer. That's not possible, but you got to stop a huge majority of it, right? Of people loading up things on the system. Yeah.
Like, how'd you go from 0 to 100 in 60 seconds?
How'd you go from 100 followers on Twitter to 100,000? That's amazing. You did that in 2 weeks.
Exactly. Let me go to Fiverr and see what we got. Well, let's dive in. I'll get the screen added up here and let's see what we got here.
Yeah, sure. So, really our core story is we do something very basic, right? We help agents collect, store, and then share reviews. If you think about it, when you have a really good transaction, organically, will that customer just go leave a review for you? Probably not. I think we all know that you've got to have a process in place. There's got to be an ask, I guess, right? Somewhere in that conversation, whether it's at the beginning with a listing presentation or a buyer consultation, or somewhere in the transaction, you have to kind of set the mood, we'll call it, for a review request that's going to be coming, right? And if you can get that, if you can just say that, if I can take you through this process that we've just laid out, I do have a favor to ask, and that's that I'd love to send you a review request. Would you be all right with that? And I think, Todd, that if you can get someone just to say, oh yeah, that'd be fine, then it makes a difference when the review request shows up. Is that right? Because now they're like, oh, I did say I would do that.
Yeah.
And then the next piece of that puzzle is how do we make it simple? And I'll show you a little piece of that as well, because you can't make it a long drawn out process. So enough about the importance of reviews and setting up for reviews. We'll walk through, in this case, Anthony's profile.
So Bill, I want to ask you a question real quick. This is a conversation I had with my wife the other day, because we just closed on a deal with her aunt, and it was walking out of the closing. When do you ask for the review? Or during the transaction, when is a good time to ask for the review? I know we're going into the process of getting it, sure. But when do you recommend people ask for it? So I'm not a realtor, but I've talked to thousands of realtors in my 20 years. I'll go with some of the experts in that area. The setup for the review request is pretty early, right? Yep. I mean, it is during a listing consultation. When you're laying out that whole marketing plan for what you're going to do and help this consumer sell this property, that's a great time, because now they know first of all, they've seen all the work you're going to do, right? If you do it right, they're going to see that there's a lot of work, and you're going to take care of that, and you're going to do your best to smooth out the path, right? You can't guarantee that it's going to be, really simple, but you're going to, you're the one that's going to help them as much as possible, make it the smoothest trip as possible. And that's the time to say, now, if I can, I have one last request or some sort of setup for the question, but then say, if I can't do all this, I will ask you for a favor. And that favor is, would you mind writing a review for me? Now, I know somebody who says, if I can do all this stuff, I have a big favor to ask. I'm going to send you links for 7 different review sites. Would you mind doing that? Yes, for 7. Now, he gets 3 on average, which is amazing, right? Yeah. That's a great number. So I guess it's all in how you set it up. I'd say the same thing at a buyer consultation, because you're setting up that whole process. The lender, we know who the lender is hopefully by that time, and you're having these conversations about the lender, about the title company and all this stuff, and you're explaining how you're going to walk them through this. That's the time. That's the best time. Now, we've had some people actually, ask or pull out an iPad and ask somebody to do the review request right there at the close when they're done and everybody's happy. But I'll say the majority of people with RateMyAgent will send the review request probably in the next day or 2 after close, right? Because we're going to prompt them with an email that says, congratulations on the close of this property. Now's a great time to send that review request. Click here, and then they can go through the process of putting in the name and the email address. That's all they have to do. And a note, of course, something personalizing the review request, and ship that off. So we send it right after close. That's ideal. You want to do it pretty quickly. Yeah. And I think you set up the expectation pretty early. That's my take. Yeah, I've had some where it's like we've asked for during the transaction when we hit a pivotal point, and then they're like, "What?" And the one gentleman was like, "Well, let me see how the rest of the deal goes." and then I'll review you guys then. And he's been a great referral partner, so luckily we did a good job. Yeah. Others, I feel if you're doing it at the closing table, it's a little standoffish. Yeah. Obviously you're at closing, so everything should be good. And if you do it right the day of closing, they're going to forget the email because they're off busy moving. So I like your tactic to go 1 to 2 days after the fact.
Yeah, so I think that's the way to go. And and the good news is you can, our system allows you to see, we'll send the review request 5 times over 2 weeks. They can opt out anytime they want, but we're just gently prodding them in case they forgot. And and our conversion rate is somewhere in the mid 60%. If you for review requests that go out, reviews that come back. So
cool.
Yeah. So this is our profile public facing page. This is, just some branding that Anthony's put on the page there. Contact information is here, and a little bit about Anthony, more contact information, things that are required. And then, we'll start looking at some of the fun stuff. I'm going to come back to this latest Rate My Agent reviews page section right here, but we can see that Anthony's a 5-star agent with 79 reviews. Here are his most recent reviews, a day ago, 5 days ago, a couple months ago. And you can see right away our reviews are different. It's not just a wall of words, right? We're actually going to take that information from Stellar, who, by the way, is our top of the line best partner in the country. They've been amazing as an MLS. Like I know MLSs, and realtors sometimes have, there's conflict sometimes. It just happens. It's life. I'm telling you right now, you're with an amazing MLS if you're connected to Stellar. You'll see here, it's got some basic information. This is in Riverview. It's a 4.3, 2-car garage, single family home. I can share this as a consumer socially right now. I can push it out into social channels, or if I click on this, it's actually going to pull up the review itself, right? And I'll get the whole review, not just the first few words. And from here, now I see the actual review. It's from Anthony. I can see the details of the review, all this great stuff. I can see all the photos depending on what they've set up, or just the cover photo. And then, I can see the map of where the property is, because that's all public record information, right? What this does is it also creates a unique URL. And when you do that, what can you do with a unique URL, Todd? You can do whatever you want, right? There are a lot of marketing opportunities that open up. It also helps build that digital social footprint on Google, right? And that's really important. So I think that's a key differentiator for us, is the ability to have that there, so you can now do a lot of things. And we help agents do things with that in the social media space. And we'll chat about that. So I think that's key to see how that part works. Sorry about that. We'll go this way instead. And then as we come down here, we will also show that we will import reviews from different places and bring them into Rate My Agent. We want to be that hub, right? Collect, right? Keep all those reviews going, you help collect them, store them, and then share them. So these are Google reviews. Anthony's connected his Google business profile to his Rate My Agent profile, and then those reviews flow in. It also allows Anthony to manage his Google profile right from within Rate My Agent, so you're not jumping back and forth. He can reply to Google reviews from there, right? Okay. Instead of having to push around. We think that's important. And any other site out there, Zillow, Realtor, some of the other review sites, we can grab those reviews, bring them in, and then the agent would attach it to the property transaction that it's connected to. Remember, every review has to be attached to the actual property. Otherwise, we're not going to be able to display it. And so we help with that with a import tool that pulls up the reviews from about the general time frame of the review itself, so they can connect them.
So I like that. So if I'm sending this to somebody, it's truly another, like Google, it's another verified review if I've got it tied into a specific address. Like
correct.
Below, it does.
Keeps growing those numbers of reviews on Rate My Agent. And remember, and like when it comes to being searched by your name, Todd, that is so important now today, right? Once again, I'll go back 10 years. Did anybody care about a name search? Not really. Yeah. Now we all know how important it is. And we're having great success. I mean, if you can, I'm connected to Anthony socially, but if you were to have someone that didn't even know him, Google Anthony Malafronte Realtor or Anthony Malafronte reviews, it's going to be a page 1 result. And at times we're outranking Zillow because there's so much fresh content coming in there. So we're pretty proud of that.
Yeah. Okay.
And then well, down here, just a few extra reviews to kind of show off on the profile. Of course, a place to contact Anthony as well. But the thing that I love the most, and this is a relatively recent addition, is this List My Agent reviews, latest Rate My Agent reviews map. So that looks pretty familiar to a realtor. You're going to go, oh, pins, great. Listings,
Yep.
sold. Yeah, it's all the same thing. I've seen a lot of this, right? So I'll add some more pins to it, and we'll kind of zoom in on the area that Anthony likes to work, which is going to be that West Chase area. So if I come in here, he's got a lot of properties up here, right? So these aren't listings or sold. Guess what those are?
Reviews.
Happy customers reviews. Yeah. So if I start clicking on these as a consumer, I can see the house, I can see this townhouse that he sold there, and I can see what the people had to say about him. If I wanted to click over here, same thing. I can see exactly what he sold and what they're talking about. So how powerful is that at a listing presentation to be able to say, by the way, let me show you, this area, I've got some happy clients in there. And maybe you have 12 or 15 sales in an area that you can just show up in a map and email to them with a URL.
Well, when you're in an area that you're doing a lot of business, I think it's huge. If you're going into a brand new market, it's kind of scary to think about it.
Yeah.
So you got to pivot your conversation on that side.
Absolutely. You would not show this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely.
But I think it's great because we do. I mean, we're big into farming. So when we're in our neighborhood, we can show guys, look, I mean, I've been selling in my neighborhood 15 years and I've, a couple hundred sales. That would just blow that map right up.
Yep. And I haven't even put all of them in there, right? And then, but the ability to then really focus in on that. Not these are not just happy reviews and happy clients, but I know the area, I know the product, I know, and that's so critical, right? I know everything about that builder because I've done nothing but sell these homes, that sort of thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's really important. Yeah. So that's the what the public facing profile looks like. Let's see. I'm gonna move over here really quick, and I'm gonna find a way for me. There we go. I'm gonna just pull up the dashboard and quickly show you how easy it is to request a review. Right. I think that's pretty important. And if I was to come in here and I want to just go to properties that I have sales, and I'll say, let's pull up. Let's go to. I want to go down here to one and we'll go to this one. So report result. So in this case, all we needed from Anthony at this point on this one is to go in and say, okay, yeah, this is sold. It shows is active now, because what Anthony's doing is he's doing a pretty good job of getting reviews on all the solds. Let me see. Let that load up. So that's going to be my Wi-Fi. Yeah. So the ability to make this process simple, not have to do something complex. All you got to do is put in a name, an email, and a phone number to get a review out. Let's see, there's solds, manage reviews. There we go. We'll request a review for this property. And this is what pops up. Got to put in the client's name and email address, optionally a phone number if you want a text to go as well. Is it the buyer or the seller? And then write a nice note. Now there's a templated note in there. We have a series of templates if that's what you want to use. But generally, most people, including Anthony, will delete that and type in their own personal note, something tying to the transaction, right? Because that's going to show up right on the email that the consumer gets. Right. Yeah. And so that's it. It's that easy. And then we've taken this a step further. We've now created what we call easy reviews. We have relationships with currently with Skyslope, Loop, DocuSign. We're working on app files, and Form Simplicity. Once we connect those, we'll have a lot of Florida covered. And the ability that once it closes in the MLS, it will trigger a request to your TMS to send us the name, the email, and the phone number. It'll automatically fill that out. And then you'll have a templated message in here, and we can send the review request out automatically. Awesome. So now you're not even worried about doing anything, or your admin. It's done. Right now, it can go right away, Todd, or sometimes agents are a little leery about sending a review request to every single customer, right? If that's the case, they have an option to toggle on a switch to put it on a 48-hour hold. Right. And at that point, they then can make the decision whether they want to send it out or not. Gotcha.
So yeah, and especially if it's when the automations are great, except certain reasons.
Yeah, and there's, in Australia, they are really proud of the fact that they have a lot of agents who will send a request to every single client, all of them. Yeah. And when they do that over the course of a year, they're then given a badge that's pretty tough to get because you've got to commit to that process, and it's called Trusted Agent. Yeah, and it just means we send a request to every single agent. We're starting to roll that out here in the U.S. as well. And I have this conversation a lot with people about testimonials. If you think about it, if you get a 2 or 3 or even heaven forbid a 1-star review for some reason, in your own personal life, Todd, you and I know when you go buy something on Amazon or wherever, you look at the reviews, you start at the 5s.
Yep.
And if you're like me, you just click to the 1s. You read a couple 5s and then, okay, what are the 1s about? Right. And when you read the 1s, I would say well over half the time, they're not even talking about the product. They're talking about something else. And so you just you wave those away. It doesn't matter. Right. But I think in the world of real estate, and I, Anthony's got all 5 stars, which is great, but I think sometimes a 4.8 might be better. It just, you know what I'm saying? Here's my reasoning on this. If you get a 1-star review, and there are tons of blog posts out there and lots of content about how to handle a really bad review as a realtor. And one is acknowledge it, make sure that you address the situation, whatever that is. But ultimately, what's going to happen is the guys like me and most people who are going to go look at the 1 stars, they'll see you handling that review as a professional. They'll see you handling adversity and a difficulty. And I want that I want you for my agent. If you can do that, like I get it. You know how to work through tough times, because that's a tough time for a realtor. It's not fun. So I think there's some there is value there in having some of those reviews where you gotta go through that process, take care of the customer. And look, our system will allow you to reach out to them. We'll tell you have this review before we post it. And then you have an opportunity to talk to them, and they can edit their review, and you can always reply to the review. Once you reply, it shuts off all communication. There's no back and forth. Right. So we're real careful there to make sure the agent's always in control of what's happening.
That's what I like it, because it's like, when you can't go back and forth, because then we can get into a pissing contest or something, or a battle on the review. Like I had one seller who I think she gave me like a 2 or 3-star review, said I didn't show up for appointments and didn't go to the closing yet. And I called her out on it. I'm like, so when I met you at the listing appointment, I explained our process. I came to your house, like I said, for the appraisal, had the docs there. We got your house appraised because I was there with like I normally do with my appointments. And then went there for the inspection. I'm representing the seller. I don't go to those. I went for that because there was an issue with something. And then closing, she decides to change the entire schedule a day early. I'm out with buyers. Yeah. He didn't even go to my closing. Well, that's fine, because I had other appointments that time and you wanted to close it right there. But I did have Melissa, my admin at the time, go to the closing in case anything happened. She got up and went over there. Yeah. And so it's like we always had someone there along the process. And I called her out on it, and she's like, we didn't reply on it. But I think if you do reply to reviews, it does, like you're saying, it does show you're handling the situation. You're not just leaving it sitting out there. Because we've had someone's like, what do you do with a bad review? Bury it with good ones. But,
I mean, ultimately, I think good agents, great agents who use a tool like RateMyAgent, they're going to have a high number of great reviews. But every now and then something happens. And look, after spending 20 years in title, we took a lot of heat for things, in reviews that, to be honest, maybe we didn't do. But hey, for that agent I've worked with a lot, I said, just throw me under the bus gently. I'm in.
Yeah.
But let me know in advance.
Bill, we had a great transaction together, but I've got all 5-star reviews. So if you don't mind, just give me 4 stars, because I really got to get that 5-star down some.
Well, I don't think you have to do that, but don't. I think the deal is when you had that customer, the unreasonable customer with weird expectations, just bite the bullet and send them a request and see what comes back. And then, now what happens is if it does come back and it's definitely a review that you would not want to share socially, then all of your social accounts that we've set up with inside RateMyAgent, it would not go out as a post. However, it has to be on RateMyAgent. It has to be in your profile, right? That's the rules of the game, right? But we're not going to make you share it because you connected Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and you automatically are sharing your reviews. So
you share what you want to share.
Hey,
it's a great review. It's 1 star.
So there's only at a certain level that we'll say, nope, we'll hold this back. And we'll always reach out to, because the bad reviews for the most part are few and far between. I think because it's agents who struggle, who struggle with their process are not going to probably use us, which we understand. So, but agents who know what they're doing, we're a great tool for them to show off those skills. And when that every now and then you get that one, go show your potential clients what you do, how you handle it. It's perfect.
So Bill, a couple questions on this. And most of the time we want to get our reviews out on the public forum. So I'm going to send you a Zillow link or a Google link.
Mm-hmm.
Does this transfer over to Zillow and Google?
So it does not. First of all, never to Google, or I'm sorry, never to Zillow. Probably, Zillow's a pretty tough company to work with. They've got their systems in place and set. So we bring them in from Zillow to us, right? However, you're going to need to, add that additional link, and we have some people put that link in the message.
Okay.
Saying it's important to get that Zillow review. As far as Google goes, we do have an integration with Google. So if on our Digital Pro subscription, you're able to then not only do two things. First one that I think is critical is taking your posts, social posts with review information, review content, and push it through the Google business feed, right? So at the bottom of your Google business profile, there is a feed that is really important for content. Just like Facebook and Instagram and Twitter, all those places need content to be alive and to work. We can help with that. So we're pushing fresh, relevant content all the time through that Google business feed. The second thing that we help do is we prompt the consumer. Hey, you've just wrote this wonderful review for Anthony. Could you please click here in order to copy and paste it and go put it into his Google business profile as a Google review? So we do everything we can to make it as simple as possible. But there's a couple key things to remember with RateMyAgent and Google is if you don't have a Google account, you're not logged into your Google account, you can't leave a Google review.
Right. So that's the other challenge, I guess, with some of the people who have Yahoos and other stuff.
And I think I've been a Google guy for a decade. So for me, it's shocking how many people don't have Google accounts. But
if I have AOL, I can't get.
I have no idea where they're at. AOL's a good. I did grab another AOL email address about 3 months ago just for fun. Yeah, just to have it. Just.
I want to go around as. I started out with AOL when I got those free discs that get 2 hours free a month or whatever it was.
The discs, the dreaded discs.
So you can pull this stuff over from Zillow. You can import to Google. What other sites does this post to? Yeah,
so we'll post on social side of things. Let me pull up. It'll probably be a little slow because I saw the Wi-Fi on that thing. But under our social media manager, you're able to under our subscriptions, we have 2 subscriptions, a Lite and a Pro. Under the Lite subscription, it opens up Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. Under the Pro subscription, you can add Instagram and Google business profile to that for posts. We also have a widget. In fact, we just released a really nice WordPress widget as well. So we have a generic widget and a WordPress widget that will allow you to show those reviews on your own website, which we think is great because you want to put it there as well. And then for anyone with one of our subscriptions, you have access to the API. Now, you got to be pretty sophisticated or have someone that's very sophisticated to make that work, but you can create your own branding for that widget, if you want to call it, with using the API to then do what you want with the reviews. Or if it's a team lead and they're in our team profile, they can take that API and they can roll all those reviews up to the team website and customize the look and feel of how that appears to the public. So we're doing everything we can to push them out a lot of different places. The number one asks are always Zillow and Realtor, right? And we're not going to stop working on them. We're going to continue to try, and we'll shop from the mountaintops when we're able to make that happen.
Well, I think they're both key with getting reviews. I don't know if Realtor's a little bit easier than Zillow, but I like Zillow. It's a hard word to say, but that I like Zillow. But Zillow's good because it is a verified review and it has an address tied to it, and it's not me just having, hey Bill, go give me a good review because I'm just getting started in the business or whatever. So it's good for that, but it's hard. I think if you guys can and you're screaming at the mountaintops, you guys accomplished a miracle because it's getting the 5 questions answered in an automation to merge the 2.
Yeah, that'd be amazing. We're trying. We'll continue to try. That's all I can tell you. And then the other, one of the last little features, maybe I won't show it off. We'll just talk about it, is the fact that, we do have an awards program, right? So the Agent of the Year awards from RateMyAgent are out every year.
Okay.
Last year's winner was Luann Shikasho out of Sacramento, California. And it's an algorithm based on reviews and sales and ratios. They do it in Australia. I just see the results. But we award reviews at a national, regional, state, county, and city level. So you could be the Rate My Agent of the Year award winner for Orlando, right? And that's really important if your market is Orlando, right?
Yeah.
It's okay if you're like top 10 in Florida, that's awesome. But that doesn't help Orlando as much. So it's very cool that we drill down on these awards and look for people that are doing great things, providing great service, and then offering them some digital marketing assets that they can attach to email signatures. They can post, using Rate My Agent to post, or they can use our promoter tool, which is a digital advertising tool we have as well to allow agents to take their reviews and turn them into ads, right, on the Google network or the Facebook, Instagram series. Yeah. So we have all of those things kind of baked into the product as well.
Okay. That's cool. That's something totally different.
Yeah, it is, because going back to the beginning of Facebook ads, way back in the day, I from day one, I told people, you've really got to be committed to this. You've got to be all in. It's a numbers game, and you've got to keep working it. You got to have a system in place. So you got to be really, really engaged, right? And
right.
I know, Todd, you've played in that space, right? So you've got to be consistent, and then that system to work those potential clients has just got to be right there, right on. Yeah,
right. And if you're not using the system, it's like everything else, it's not going to work. So if you do it right, it's going to work, and it's going to it's going to do what it's supposed to.
Right.
Well, Bill, I appreciate you jumping on and kind of showing this. This is a cool tool. It's for those who don't have automation set up, this is great because it does get you that extra review. And it's another place to post. And I like, having this as an option. I love the map option because if I'm in my neighborhood and I'm doing the comps and I'm like, here, hold on one second. Let me get out my laptop and show you what's going on with the other 5 houses I've sold and the reviews from those sellers.
Yeah, it's perfect.
Or, the other 150 I've sold in the last couple of years in the neighborhood that we live in.
Yeah. Well, look, the key thing here is, your profiles are waiting for you. They're already set up because of our connection with Stellar. Yeah. So all you got to do, and not only Stellar, but I'm sure the show goes well beyond just here in Florida, but go to Rate My Agent, click on the join button. That's going to ask you to verify an email or a phone number. You can claim your profile. It's absolutely free. It's always free to start requesting reviews, to import reviews from other places. We want you to build up that profile, see how it works, and start exploring, the power of using that tool for making this great location, this massive digital footprint, that's all about third-party validation.
So you're saying that I can actually already have a profile. Mm-hmm. I can test the product and not have to join. Not have to start getting into subscription service. That's golden right there. Yeah,
absolutely. We think, look, what happens is once you start collecting reviews, you see how easy it is, and they start coming in, and your profile starts filling out, right? Because it's when there's only 2 reviews, you don't want to be promoting it too much. But as you keep getting reviews, you get to that point, where the magic 6 will cover most of the profile page. I think at that point, people realize I need to go a little further. So they can either click on our upgrade switches, buttons, and things. We'll have some people that might be reaching out to them if they get to a certain level of reviews, just to explain the rest of the product to them. Because I think it's just a huge opportunity.
Yeah. No, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Bill, I appreciate it, guys. Anything for Bill, just reach out to him. He's a great asset to work with. And, just as obviously he's easy to talk to, and he's not going to sit there and try and sell you on something.
Yeah.
But I like the tool, and we're going to be having further conversations on it. And I appreciate Anthony being our guinea pig today.
I hope he's okay with it. We'll find out later.
Yeah, exactly. That's awesome. So those of you guys watching, remember to like, subscribe, and find us on TikTok. Not TikTok. I think I got some random stuff on there. I don't even know. But we're on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram and LinkedIn. Our show's going live there. And also we've got on podcast now as well. So excited about that. Beautiful. I haven't listened to my own podcast yet, so I'm nervous to do that.
What? Come on. That's great. I look at, you were a guest, by the way. If you want to hear a great show, listen to Todd on the Real Estate Sessions podcast.
Yes, let's talk about your podcast real quick. It's obviously on podcast. So it's called Real Estate Sessions.
Yeah. Yep. The Real Estate Sessions. It's all over wherever you find podcasts. It's I'm in season 8.
Okay. Wow.
So I started in 2015.
Okay.
328 episodes. That are, and still going. I've got two more sessions set up this week to interview. And what I do is I interview leaders in the industry, and get their stories. I think I spend a lot of time. Sometimes people say I spend too much time getting someone's backstory, but I'm so curious about, where does somebody who's attained this level of success in the real estate space, you'll be blown away by the number of different backgrounds there are. There's some similarities. A lot of them have been servers or bartenders. I don't know what that means, but it's pretty cool.
Because, and I've never been in the serving industry or bartending, but it's because they know how to talk to people. And if I've talked to other like team leaders who have gotten agents successful, they've met them at whether they're waiting on them for dinner or the bartender, because they know how to have the certain ones don't, but most of them know how to have that communication skill.
Right.
And that's the number one thing is if you know how to talk to people, you're going to be able to sell, and we're in the sales business.
Yeah.
And you can learn the rest of the business from there.
Yeah. It really is amazing. The more I'm out and about, and especially hospitality. The other two big ones were teachers. Once again, they know how to talk to people, and also healthcare, like nurses and things. They those three areas tend to just be a big background. But then I've got someone who was in the music industry for 20 years, and I've got someone she's like 5'11", but she was a ballerina, or I've got someone who was an opera singer. I mean, they're just amazing backgrounds, and that's my favorite part of the show. So it's out there. I'd be happy if anyone wants to check it out.
People, whenever I interview them, wonder why I always ask about why real estate. That's my first question, is why real estate?
Nice.
What is bringing you to this career? And that's what was asked of me. Now, I grew up in the business, but I just like to know why they got into the business, because it helps me understand where they're going in the future.
Yes.
And so I love hearing the backstories when you guys do that stuff. That's really cool. So,
awesome. Well, thanks, Todd.
Guys. We'll appreciate your time today, Bill. Guys, remember to tune in. We've got a lot of exciting